Okay, so let's talk about the Modeler's Guide to the Tiger Tank. This book is, well, let's cut to the chase. It's very overpriced. Because it's out of production, it runs something like on average, I don't know, 150. I've seen it as high as 2. I got it for way less, but I had to stock it for a very, very long time on eBay, so I just saved a search. And like every night when I was checking kits, which I do, I would just check for it. And then one popped up for a buy it now for about half of what it should, and I'm like, give me that. So, is it worth buying? What exactly is in it? So I'll just go through it briefly and explain why I did want it, and then also why I didn't think I needed it. So apart from, well, here you can see what the original price was, $24.99, which by the way you never find it for anymore. So, you know, talking about wanting to make a book, so historical perspective on the Tiger, right? And my apologies for any glare, I don't normally review books, but I'm going to do a few, Tiger related, mostly of course. So, so this is like VK3001 and VK3601, which is right here, you see. And all this is very interesting. You certainly don't need a book anymore to learn this, though. You could go to the Wikipedia page for the Tiger and you could learn all this very quickly. So certainly that's not a reason to have such an expensive book. Some really nicely printed pictures, but there are tons of books that have those as well. They're going to explain operational history and stuff. There's a 503 Tiger, one of the sort of, you know, that turret bin one I just made. And then, so talking about a couple of different units. But again, certainly not a reason to pay what people seem to want you to pay for it. Decent pictures, big deal. Which I do like. You know, there's little chunks of information in here. Nothing crazy though. You know, it's giving you rundowns of orders and stuff. This happens, this happens, this happens. So that's pretty cool. But it's also not detailed enough in my opinion to be worth a giant price tag. You know, 5 Tigers destroy 25 enemy tanks, Tunisia, Shredder Pentav Tiling 501. So, you know, great. But this is why people buy this book. So here you have a 1/35 scale drawing of the upper deck of a Tiger in August 1942, which by the way, me filming this video may make this book less relevant, I guess. You could just come back here and look, not that I'm going to freeze frame it, but it's a reference book for this reason. So this tells you everything that happened, or the configuration of a upper hull in August 42, to a degree of accuracy, okay? And then so as we move forward, I'll try to make sure I'm not getting any glare on this. So this is what changed in September 42 and what changed in December 42. So why it's the Modeler's Guide is that you can say, well, crap, my Tiger is here at this time. Most of the information within here will tell you enough to figure out, you know, when the thing would have been built, probably, although that's still up for some debate because you can't really prove it. But if you can figure out when the thing was manufactured, or at least get a picture of it and get an idea, this will lay it out for you pretty well. So as you can see here though, for example, that's what a DAC initials tool cables look like, tow cable, excuse me. And then here you get into the no S mines, but there's headlights, you see. So then January 43, February 43, month by month, they're laying out the upper hulls of Tiger 1. March to April 43, August, there's a Befehlswagen, so you see slight differences there. Also some reference pictures to show you exactly what it's talking about. Continuing on, we're still into, you know, having 5-hole connections here, although that gets deleted here in October 43, so you wonder how do people know these things? Well, they read books, mostly, or they just continuously check reference. Now, this is not perfect, but it's pretty good. So here you get, there's where the tow cables change into sort of that later shape based on where these clasps are. Again, though, I always cross-reference this with other sources, so, but it's a good overall type thing. And then here you get into June 44, sort of the last version, late Tiger, and then this page here is just track changing cable arrangement. So pretty helpful. So you You know, if you're looking in Tiger kits and you're like, is that right for that? And you can check just how it's laid out. Very quick reference. Here we've got bottom of the hull stuff. This is talking about where the shock absorber mounts are on the outside of the hull, near the scalloping. Apparently it was moved. Hull front detail, so, you know, September 42 to February 43, where the spare tracks were hung or how they were hung. Every conceivable little type of thing is covered. Headlights. There's a diagram of the Vorpanzer thing. Now I think this has been more figured out in recent years. There's a guy online, I can't think of his name, but he did a 1/35 scale buildup of this and has very detailed ideas of how this thing would have functioned. But that's a somewhat decent idea. Lower hull extensions, the plate on the deck, front mud flaps, like everything is covered chunk by chunk by chunk. Mud guards, side fender things, tow hooks, the grating on the back, the engine hatch itself, or access doors they're calling it. How did the configuration change of that thing? It did change quite a bit. These little latches here that hold the engine open moved from not existing to underneath the handle to behind the handle. That kind of stuff. This lays it out, tells you when that was changed. Different parts of the engine door, different parts of the jack, the adapter plate for the inertial starter. Every little thing is beaten down in diagrams here. So rear plates, exhausts, shrouds, fivals, you know, and this is just how was it configured? Where were the tools? You know, where was the jack hung? All that kind of stuff. So the barrel lock, different exhaust shrouds down here, S-mines. Here we get into sprockets, idlers, wheels themselves, tracks, transport tracks, the pins on the tracks themselves. Turret configurations, this is another important one, because just like the upper hull thing, it's going to run through these. So from initial, and here we got May 43, July 43, March 44, and so on. It's just different ways that the hull was laid out. So where was the ventilator? Was there a loader's periscope? Were there spare tracks? How many pistol ports were there? All that stuff is laid out relatively simply right there. And then we get into, here's our smoke launchers, but different types of mantlets. And there appear to be that many. So and there's a lot of these I can't tell you the difference between. You know, like if I see in a picture, that's a standard mantlet, and so is that. There's a different reinforcing, like there's a thicker part here, and this one doesn't have that. I'm still not real good at picking those out. Here we cover muzzle brakes, loader's hatches, the escape hatch, the ventilator cover, turret bins, more stuff about the turret bins and configuration of the turret bins, antenna, talking about the cupola. So that's all Tiger 1. So from page, let's see, 21 to 54. This is what people pay money for. All that right there. Now, I will tell you that it's not 100% reliable in that I always cross-reference it with DW to Tiger 1, which I'm actually going to do. I'll do a video on that some other time. I'll mention it a little bit more in a bit. But so that's the Tiger 1 section. Pretty good. So moving right along, we get to the Tiger 2 section, which, by the way, I've never used. And first it covers the prototype Tiger 2. And then all of standard KT. It's weird though, because there weren't enough changes to require a book like the Tiger 1 did. So it's a little bit lighter on information, but lots of different track types, lots of different sprockets, a lot more photographs. So, but that's it for like KT stuff. It's really not that much. Then you get into sort of a this section is more, you know, it's built models of each type. So this is like, that's a Kursk, Das Reich. And then that's a DAC, sort of. That'd be an initial, not really, oh, that'd be a 503, even though it's painted in gray, and they didn't have these crosses on them until after they weren't gray, so you can see that there's inaccuracies here too. The Zimmerided Porsche Tiger, Wittmann's 007 as a mid, which by the way most people disagree with that. And some people disagreed that these numbers were straight and not arced. I think they do look right straight, so that's you have to interpret those photos. So a 505, here we get 503, some are 44. It's just examples. The guy who built them does talk about a bit about how he made them, and then a lot about choices he made on them. There you have a prototype Porsche KT. That's why it has these folded mud flaps like this. If the barrel was in primer, by the way, it would be gray, not red, but that's okay. I just ribbon counted a book. Another Porsche KT, sort of classic KT. It's 501, December 44. That's another classic KT. These are really well done, by the way, as well. Beautiful builds. This gets into almost a little bit of a tank art, like a Rinaldi style thing, where he's showing you bit by bit. So this is that one KT, and he's like, I did this, and I did this, and I did this. Now this is great. Yeah, this is pretty cool. I would lean on like Adam Wilder or Rinaldi for stuff like this myself now, but you know, he's showing how to put the recessed screw holes on a Tamiya mantlet, so some pretty good stuff here. Very in-depth detailing of how he does this. Here he's going through his version of the V1, the prototype Vorpanzer, and how he managed to do it. I think he used a resin upgrade set. Shows you sort of step by step everything he changes. That's pretty intense. Then here's another one, and an initial, so he's going step by step through what he used and what he changed. There's a different tank there. All of the steps that he goes through. Another one. Pretty detailed, you know, how did I upgrade this? How did I do this? Again, another Tiger. All Tiger ones. Here he's doing the Porsche Tiger P. By the look of it, the Zimmerit command vehicle from 653. Another late, I think that one is. And then again, another Tiger. Each one going through explaining exactly how they were made. Here we have a Tiger 2, the prototype. Another KT. In the back here is a list of kits and aftermarket, by the look of it. Fuel, model cast-in, tank workshop, for Linden, Tech Mod. And then here's a list of books. The most important one I can point out to you is right there, DW to Tiger 1, which is Jensen Doyle. So that's what's in the book. Is it worth $150? I don't know, probably not. Some of the information that they use in the section that does like this stuff is all based on information from DW to Tiger 1, so they reference, I think they refer to it as the Gents book all the time. So all that information does exist other places. Does it exist in a volume this small and this to the point? Not really, but you will find the occasional inaccuracy with what these guys are selling. But if you can pick it up cheaply, yeah, it's handy and cool. The only problem is nowadays I've started to cross-reference it with current thinking, like I'll check websites and the Gents book, and just to make sure it's right. And actually, I haven't used it for a build, which I think a lot of people would. I just sort of page through it and check references occasionally. So, but I would say it's worth maybe 70 maximum. Right now, I just checked on eBay a minute ago. I think there was one like for 90 with no bids on it. Buy it now, it's for like 150. I think that's overpriced. I would prefer people get DW to Tiger 1 than this.